The first time Rowan Hale stepped onto the sunlit marble steps of the coastal chapel, he felt like a man walking into a memory he had buried alive. The sea breeze carried the scent of white roses and salt. Laughter drifted across the courtyard, and somewhere inside that beautiful daytime wedding setting waited a truth he had spent years outrunning. He was there because a billionaire woman had invited him as her plus one, but he carried the quiet weight of a single father, a broken past, and a name that still echoed in other people's lives. Before the story unfolds further, take a moment to connect with this journey. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing the right thing when no one is watching, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Spark. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Rowan had not planned to attend any wedding, especially not one held in full daylight with silk banners glowing against a pale blue sky. His mornings were usually spent packing lunches, tying shoelaces, and trying to stretch a modest income far enough to keep his 8-year-old daughter safe and smiling. Life had shrunk into routines after his wife passed away, routines built on survival rather than dreams. Then came Celestine Vale, a woman whose name carried weight in financial circles and whose presence felt both commanding and unexpectedly gentle. She had met Rowan months earlier at a community rebuilding project where she arrived in simple clothes and worked silently beside everyone else. She noticed how Rowan fixed broken chairs, how he helped elderly neighbors without being asked, and how he spoke of his daughter with quiet reverence. Celestine never treated Rowan like a charity case. She simply listened. Over time, she learned that Rowan once ran a construction firm before betrayal, debt, and grief dismantled everything he had built. He never asked for sympathy, and she never offered pity. When she invited him to her younger sister's wedding as her guest, Rowan tried to refuse. He did not belong in polished halls and curated joy, but Celestine insisted with a calm sincerity that made refusal feel like cowardice. She told him the wedding would be during the day, bright and open, and that sometimes daylight was the best place for old shadows to lose their power. The chapel stood on a bluff overlooking the ocean, sunlight pouring through tall windows and casting gentle reflections across the floor. Guests mingled in linen suits and pastel dresses, the air buzzing with expectation. Rowan wore a borrowed suit that fit well enough, though he still felt like an imposter. Celestine walked beside him, composed and radiant, her success never announced but always present. People greeted her with respect, yet she introduced Rowan simply as a friend. That single word steadied him more than she realized. As they moved through the courtyard, Rowan noticed something unsettling. A familiar emblem decorated the wedding programs, a symbol he once designed himself during the early days of his old company. His pulse quickened. He told himself it was coincidence, that designs get reused, that memory often lies. Still, unease followed him into the chapel, settling in his chest as sunlight warmed the stone walls. The ceremony was scheduled to begin soon. The bride, Celestine's sister Maribel, was known for her warmth and creative spirit, a contrast to Celestine's reserved strength. Guests took their seats, whispers softening into reverent silence. Rowan chose a seat near the back, hoping to remain unseen. He focused on the way the light shifted as clouds passed, reminding himself to breathe, reminding himself that this was just a wedding. When the groom entered from a side corridor, Rowan's world narrowed to a single point. The man was taller than he remembered, confidence etched into his posture, but there was no mistaking him. It was Callan Mercer, once a reckless apprentice under Rowan's guidance, a young man Rowan had trained from the ground up. Years ago, Callan had vanished with company secrets and investors' trust, leaving Rowan to shoulder the collapse alone. Rowan never pursued revenge. He was too busy rebuilding a life for his child from the rubble of another. Callan's eyes scanned the room, bright with anticipation, until they landed on Rowan. In that instant, joy drained from Callan's face, replaced by something raw and exposed. The chapel seemed to hold its breath. Without thinking, Callan altered his path and approached Rowan, his steps slowing as if walking into confession. In a voice that carried through the sunlit hall, Callan addressed Rowan with a single word of acknowledgement that stunned the guests around them. He called him boss, not as a title of power, but as a recognition of the man who once believed in him. The word cracked open years of silence. Murmurs rippled through the room. Celestine turned toward Rowan, understanding dawning in her eyes. She had known pieces of his past, but not this. Rowan felt the weight of every eye, yet he did not shrink. He met Callan's gaze and saw not arrogance but remorse. The wedding paused, suspended in daylight and truth. What followed was not confrontation but revelation, Callan explained, openly and without excuse, how fear and ambition led him to betray the one mentor who treated him like family. He spoke of guilt that shadowed every success, of nights spent wondering whether forgiveness was possible. He revealed that he had rebuilt a company using lessons Rowan taught him, and that marrying Maribel came with a promise to live honestly at last. This wedding, meant to celebrate love, became a place where accountability stepped into the light. Rowan listened, hands steady at his sides. Anger had burned out years ago, leaving behind a quiet sadness.